the man behind the hustle and grind. This is pride, courage, determination, and perseverance. Welcome to No Looks Given. All right, recording.
I think it's official.
I think it's official. Welcome to the No Looks Given podcast with my co-host, Chef Brother Luck.
Man, this has been a long time in the making.
Long time in the making. We've had this idea for so long, guys. And it honestly, like, I'm overfilled with joy that we're actually doing this.
Yeah, I think when I listen to podcasts, I'm always looking for something that is not only like motivational, but entertaining and educational, and something that's going to keep me vibing while I'm in the car or I'm sitting on a plane.
Yeah, that's a common. I'm kind of in that same field with. I personally, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan, so I feel like that I lean towards that podcast for the educational and entertainment, and those two variables there.
Yeah, I find it amazing just because I've been looking for like the right platform, like especially lately, of where to express some of the things I've been feeling, some of the things I've been going through. And I've been actually just kind of staying off social media. Mm-hmm. And you hit me up and you're like, let's do a podcast. And I was like, wow, that's crazy.
This is the perfect outlet to get all of those ideas, thoughts that really don't have a category. Because, one of the reasons that I wanted to always start this podcast is because when I have conversations with you, there are so many gems that either I think that other people can get value of, or that maybe I think that in that timing, I would like to replay that to really catch it all the way. I don't know if I've always caught every gem you've dropped. So this is a good way to have it on record. So I will forever keep these gems in my back pocket. And the world has a chance to hear them as well.
I'm telling you, every time we talk, we go deep like fluorescent fish.
Well, give us a proper introduction, Chef. Introduce yourself to the world.
Oh, man. I'm Chef Brother Luck. Owner of a couple restaurants here in Colorado. You might have caught me on Top Chef, season 15, season 16. Beat Bobby Flay, took him out in his own deal.
Knocked him out.
Chopped all over the place on Chopped.
Okay, and then your two restaurants. Tell me about those.
Yeah, so we got 4 by Brother Luck, which is kind of like my bougie side.
Yeah,
it's our upscale restaurant. It's based on Southwest and Four Corners and being here in this
And let's
region.
clarify bougie for the people, because I think it's more of like your heart and ego is a better. Bougie is a way of thinking about it, but it's more of like your heart and ego in that restaurant.
Yeah, man, bougie's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's always important for people to understand is, you have to embrace growth.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it starts. So for me, 4 is a representation of my growth. And I always look back on the other restaurants and how we got to this point. And, I'm always just thinking like, wow, it's really happened.
Yeah, even like today, as we're kind of reminiscing on like the older videos on like YouTube, and pardon us, guys, Brother's got 2 dogs. What kind of dogs are they?
They're golden doodles.
2 golden doodles, man, really Lucy, and now we have Toffee. God, I always want to call it Toodles. For some reason, Toodles comes to my mind.
Don't look like a Toodles.
Toffee, but we were watching some videos earlier in your journey from the first restaurant. And kind of reminiscing there for a moment. Tell us about that journey and that moment reminiscing there.
Yeah, I look back at some of those videos on YouTube and I see the past and I'm immediately transported back into those feelings, those emotions. And the one thing that I was just kind of sitting here reflecting on is like the fear that I have today when it comes to, financial success or accolades or whatever we're trying to do within the restaurant. I still had those. Like the fear never went away.
Yeah.
Like I still live in the moment and still have that fear every day. And it's about embracing that.
Mm-hmm. And how do you go about embracing that?
I think the first part is getting past the butterflies. I think that's something that's real is, that nervousness, that anticipation, that anxiety that builds up. And after that, it's a lot of faith and trust.
Yeah.
Knowing how to communicate to other people to say, I need some help or I need some direction or what do you think?
That's really, I just got the chills because I remember specifically when you were talking about mental health and I was behind the camera. Like I seriously felt the chills. I felt like you were talking to me personally. But you're very vocal about mental health, and not to just jump right into that, but I think that people need to know about your perspective and the way that you're going about it because it's very near and personal to your journey yourself. You're not speaking from anybody's point of view but your own.
Yeah, I think vulnerability is where that starts, but it's about self education. I've gone on this path the last few years to really understand like who I am as a person, and I've had many experiences that have just kind of made me dig deeper.
Mm-hmm.
What's the cause? What's the root? How did I get to where I'm at right now? Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? And it's never been about attention.
Mm-hmm.
It's been about reflection.
Right.
And as I share that, and kind of tell my story, I'm blown away by the responses that I get from people. Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Very
for sharing
receptive. That. Yeah.
That's powerful. That's what keeps you going. But it always comes back down to it. The basics is, my story is not meant for me. My story is meant for somebody else to hear. And I think that applies to everyone's lives.
Something you said one time, I just told my buddy, you said this to me recently, is that you have to first accept your story before you can then share it.
Yeah, man. Think about how much shame we have.
Oh my God,
right?
that's hit my soul.
We have shame. We have this fear, this insecurity where, we don't want to talk about it, or we don't feel like it matters, or, you're just embarrassed.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of that had nothing to do with you. And once you get past that part, that acceptance of being comfortable embracing your story, then it's much easier to start sharing.
Yeah. Man, that's so powerful. Man, real quick, I want to touch back, to double back on your restaurant. You have another restaurant we didn't speak much about, Lucky Dumpling. Tell us about Lucky.
Yeah, Lucky's my hood side.
Yeah, so the other one's your bougie side. It's your bad side.
Yeah, bad and bougie.
Okay, you bad and bougie.
Lucky Dumpling is something I've had in my head for years, and it's a trip to watch it come to life. We just passed a year, which is insane. Like I signed the lease a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the journey this year has just been nuts. But Lucky is it's based on my time of being raised in San Francisco, being around a lot of Asian culture. My parents were big into Asian culture. They were both exotic dancers that actually traveled all over Asia. So we
shared that story. Keep going.
Yeah, we grew up eating a lot of dim sum and a lot of dumplings, and being in Chinatown or Japantown, and when I went to culinary school, I worked under the chef Bill Tsai, who was a phenomenal Chinese chef. And the first thing I asked him to teach me how to make was pot stickers. It was like the memory that I had of cooking with my father or eating with my father.
Yeah.
So something I knew he enjoyed was gyoza. So I wanted to learn how to make that when I went to culinary school. And then, fast forward many years, I ended up getting to travel China and Japan. And as I was going through these markets and I was being in these neighborhoods, I kept thinking like, wow, I'd love to put my spin on something. I'm not trying to culturally appropriate anything. I want it to be mine.
Yeah.
I want my ideas and, my thoughts to be reflected in a menu, in a space. So, Lucky Dumpling is a mixture of all that. It's hip hop, it's dumplings, it's kung fu.
Yeah.
My grandmother is all over that place and inspiration. She was big on karate movies, and she would make us sit down and watch, Chuck Norris and, Bruce Leroy and Show Nuff and all the old school flicks. I mean, it's kind of cool to have that, in the space.
It's a cool space too. And I actually love hearing about like the journey of the creation of that idea. So I see the end product of the idea being the restaurant, and kind of spin this full circle. You started in that restaurant, and we just saw footage of it when it wasn't your restaurant, when you were in there.
Yeah, and a lot of people realize my first restaurant was Street Eats, but it wasn't the space that many people know that was on the west side here in Colorado Springs.
Right. Talk to them. Tell them about the history.
Yeah, it was in the back of the Triple Nickel Tavern, and which is now where Lucky Dumpling is.
And just a reference, Triple Nickel Tavern was like a rock star punk bar.
Yeah,
like it was heavy Heavy metal kind of.
Yeah, it was Fagua and mosh pits. I mean, it was
That's such a blend to give the viewers an idea of what
Yeah.
this restaurant really was like prior.
Well,
and
I-
chefs in there.
I think when you start to write like your first idea of what your restaurant's going to look like as a chef, it never comes to fruition. Like when you go for it and you're doing it on your own, it's going to be the exact opposite of what you imagine it being, because you're going to get hit with so much unexpected. And starting in the back of that punk rock bar and subletting that space, man, that was hard work. I was the one that was, couldn't even afford a vacuum. So I used to sweep the carpet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey man, I've done that in my house. I would come from that background.
But doing the shopping, and because we couldn't afford accounts with vendors. So
Yeah, I remember you telling me a story that you would go shopping in the morning for the day's inventory, and sell it that day. So it was like a day by day process.
Every day, and every day was scary and overwhelming, and you're putting yourself out there. And
you know what this bleeds me into saying is that I think a lot of this podcast can come from like a business aspiring point of view of an entrepreneur. And getting this first person, testimony is just so powerful from you, because you're really doing it. No, like I ain't out here just tooting this man's horn. He really does this shit.
It's and the other side too is we're 7 years now on our own, and it's through a lot of faith and partnership, and it's Tina and I, committing to it and making sure that it's working, and I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing it without her belief. Like she's my biggest fan.
Oh my God.
And the person that keeps me
so good.
Yeah, she keeps me
Shout
grounded.
out T, for all the people that don't know T, chef's wife.
Yeah, she's amazing. I mean, we're getting ready to. We've been together 20 years now. Coming up in March.
Hold on, let me see if I can find the round of applause. There we go. Yeah, make sure we give him a round of applause for that. That's something to talk about, man. 20 years. Keep going.
Absolutely. God gave me my partner, and he gave me that partner early, and our relationship has grown because it's built through trust. It's built through friendship, and we've grown together.
Yeah,
There's no more new stories. Like we've been together more than half our lives.
Yeah.
That's a real relationship.
Yeah, that no more news stories thing within a relationship is kind of, for me, I'm a young buck, so it's like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. I can't tell her something she don't already know. Or
Yeah, exactly.
She knows.
She's y'all 20 years in.
It's crazy.
Round of applause again, one more time for T and Chef Brother Luck, man. Y'all are inspiring me. I know you're inspiration to all the motherfuckers out there trying to, build something.
Yeah.
And that partner is so critical, because I know that the word that I heard you say was trust. Man, that goes a long way with her being your biggest fan.
Yeah, man, and I think trust is something that applies to every person in your life, right? Because trust is easy to break, but it takes a long time to build.
Right.
And the hardest part is when someone breaks that trust with you. Mm-hmm. How do you learn internally how to drop those walls and trust again?
Yeah.
Because we all experience pain and hurt, or somebody did something to us, whether it's a friend or it's a family member. We can't guard our actual personas, and give the world this fake version of who you are, because you're too scared to be vulnerable again, to get hurt again.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that's part of why I talk about mental health, is because I'm learning to trust again.
What is the process for you, like, in building trust? How are you executing that every day?
I think communication is where it starts.
That's
right?
what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, you gotta talk.
Yeah.
Let somebody know how you're really feeling.
Yeah.
Let them know what's going on in your head. We don't have time for these fake relationships and people that are just stroking your ego or keeping you around because they want something. Be real about it, because we all got this one ride on this planet.
Gosh, all these things are coming together right now. It's chilling. Keep going.
Yeah, we got this one ride, and it don't stop.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't waste any moments.
Mm-hmm.
you know, and figuring out what those moments are. Are you looking for, you know, the amazing, the extraordinary, the wow factor that, you know, you're posting on social media, or are you living for the moment that's simple?
Yeah.
You know, the little laughs, the small nuances, the things that we surpass every day. We just don't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the most powerful things. You know, I was listening to this documentary or this speech by Brene Brown, and she was talking about that, and I really feel that, like, you know, I really want to appreciate the easy stuff, the simple stuff.
Yeah, the everyday things that kind of let us know we are human, you know.
Yeah. Well, we chase so much. You know, you're always chasing the next accomplishment.
Agreed.
Instead of stopping and appreciating what you've actually just accomplished.
Yeah. A topic that comes to my mind is like chasing happiness. Like, where do you place that in, you know, your mindset? Or how do you organize that?
Well, I think you have to define what is happiness, right? To you.
We talked about that this morning.
Yeah, it's different to everybody. You know, is happiness family? Is it faith? Is it work?
Yeah.
Is it traveling? What do you define as happiness?
Right.
And I think once you start to understand what you find joy in,
mm-hmm.
then you can start to talk about success.
Yeah.
You know, and what you're chasing.
Man, that gives me chills, because a quote that comes to my mind is something along the lines of you have to be successful, or excuse me, let me hit this properly before I mess this all up. I'm going to mess this all up, but bear with me here. It's something along the lines of the definition of a successful man is one who is consistently chasing to obtain a worthy ideal.
Mm.
You know, if you know and you are consistently working towards a worthy ideal, then that is the man who is successful. So, like, let's say, for example, if you wanted to own a gas station and you were, you know, chasing that goal, then that is the successful man. The successful woman is the one who wants to be the teacher and that is pursuing to make a difference teaching, you know. So whatever that worthy ideal is to that person.
Yeah, I also think too, like, as you're going through your path, it's about leaving your mark on someone else, and that's education, that's mentorship, that's friendship, that's love. Those are the important pieces of being on this earth, you know, because it's not about your accolades or what you've accomplished as far as work.
Right.
You know, what did you do for somebody? Right. How did you impact somebody? How did you change their lives by the way you lived? If we're all chasing this ideal, this idea of perfection,
mm-hmm.
shouldn't we be striving to be that for someone else?
Yeah. So what you're saying is basically like giving is the real reward. It is the real
100%.
happiness. And I always say that, like, if you can't figure out your goal, help somebody else achieve theirs.
Yeah, man, I find the most joy in helping other people. And it's not even about the stuff that people know about.
Yeah.
It's the stuff they don't know about because it's not broadcast. Like,
right.
I'm not looking for you to pat me on the back for helping somebody.
Right.
Like, you don't need to know. But
right.
That's where I find the most joy. And I think this has been a big reason why I've been starting to shy away from a lot of social media and not do as much as I was, because, you know, I'm tired of broadcasting for people that, you know, only want a glimpse.
Sure.
Like, I want a conversation and somebody to make an effort to get to know the real me.
Awesome. I got chills because this gives us an opportunity to speak about these things, like the mentorship that you are doing. And guys, I just want to say this because I live a first-person view, a point of view that I actually see Chef doing these things. Like, he is mentoring, you know, and he can speak more about it, but like with the Army, with the youth, with the kids in the schools through the culinary programs, kids at risk and in difficult situations, he embraces that and brings them in. And just so many opportunities like this morning we were watching they do like a chef battle, and Chef was saying that he invited, you know, chefs from around the city to come into his restaurant and battle another chef. Help me out. Knife fights, I think is what you called it.
Yeah. Knife fights were back in the day, and, you know, it was inspired by the TV show Knife Fights. A buddy of mine was on it, and I thought, man, what a great way to get some of your ego out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you feel in a certain kind of way, come prove it.
Yeah, give you a platform to do it.
Yeah, and it was, I think that was definitely, you know, a mindset that I was in younger in my career, where it was just, it was aggression,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed the outlet for that, which then translated to I thought everybody else needed that outlet as well.
Yeah.
And it's cool to watch, competition happen, because I think competition is a great way to measure yourself. How do you act and respond, and how do you get your point across? Did you deliver the message that you had the intention of delivering?
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the reasons why I was a very competitive person for so many years, is because, I had something that I wanted to get out, and I want you to feel it. Like every bit of it, you were going to feel all my aggression.
Yeah.
You were going to feel all of my tenacity, my determination, like
Into the plate.
yeah, man, you were going to feel it. Just my presence.
Yeah, the presence it's a whole package.
But that's competition. I think whether you're in sports or you're in music, or, you're in cooking, man, it's
you're a competitive person.
yeah, you have to be. I think Jay-Z said it best, where, sometimes you need your ego. You got to remind these fools.
I love it, man. I love it. All right, guys, I want to make sure we hit on this, because these are the foundation of the No Looks Given podcast, foundation principles, which is going to be pride, courage, perseverance, and determination. I want you to speak on that real quick about these founding principles and how you came up with this, Chef. No Looks Given.
Yeah, I had a public relations person who was working with me, and we were talking about, what is the right word that really describes what the message is you're trying to get across. And, I kept coming across like, I don't care. I don't have a care in the world. And, as I was getting into that, I don't give a fuck kind of mentality.
Yeah.
It triggered, and it was like, luck.
Yeah, playing off the brother luck, man.
Yeah, man. And it seriously was just no luck's given. Like,
man, I get a lot of hits about the hat. People want the merch. They love the brand. And that's we're starting a No Looks Given podcast.
It's surreal, because as I started to really try to identify what No Looks Given meant to me, it was a reflection of what I feel my personality and my characteristic traits should be. And, getting into pride, determination, courage, and perseverance, man, my story is all about those things.
Just bleeding through those words.
Nonstop. My pride is not ego. My pride is self-awareness.
Talk about it.
And I think that's something that is where confidence starts.
Yeah.
Because you're proud of yourself. You love yourself.
So, yeah, it often gets confused, because I know that there's a saying that successful people have to have some amount of delusion, but it can come off as what's the word that when you're all about yourself? What's the word I'm looking for?
Egotistical.
It's egotistical, but there's a word for it. Somebody called me it, but damn. It was about being self-centered, though.
Yeah, like narcissistic.
Yes, damn it! Somebody called me that shit. Confession moment. But yeah, man. But it's a point of a little bit of delusion to be able to kick in like these factors that you have to believe in yourself or believe in your dream. Talk about that, man, because I think you have an unwavering faith within yourself and within your dream. Obviously, T believes in you. Where does that come from? Talk about that from your core that is just bleeding out of you.
Yeah, I think it starts with love, right? The confidence or the difference between narcissism versus ego or being someone who feels like they can take over the world is you have to have people that have your back, right? People that support you, people that are with you, people that trust you, people that you tell them a message and they believe it. Like, I think that love internally is where it starts, and then it has to outpour. And I think as you start to share that love, it gives direction to.
This is hilarious. Oh my gosh. I wish I could point a camera at these dogs, but they just
they busted down the gate.
All right.
I think that's also kind of cool too, though, is, we're filming in my basement right now, which is, it's comfortable. You know, and I think that's real. I think people need that understanding, is that, what we do isn't fake. Isn't in Hollywood and on this perceived reality that people get to watch on television, man. We do this every day, and we do it independently.
100%. And I think that there's something about that element that people will gravitate towards because it is so tangible. It is the everyday life that they don't see.
Absolutely.
Man, I appreciate everybody tuning in. If you're listening, you guys got to make sure you follow Chef Brother Luck. And let me introduce myself. I'm Dana Keith, father, filmmaker, creator. I've been filming Chef for a couple years, and one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast was because we have conversations like this very similar to actually how we're starting this out. And honestly, we need to capture these moments. These are the moments. And I had a moment today when you were talking. I said to myself, like, this is the in-between stuff that we can always use. This type of content to get your insight is content we can always use for no matter what. And I drew a correlation. I don't know if we should be able to say this or not, but you had an idea for a show where it was a podcast plus bringing somebody in and cooking a meal, making it about the food, but the experience of a relationship.
Yeah.
And I saw how, when I drove up this morning, I was seeing how something like this, maybe a 30-minute podcast or whatever on the show, and then actually filming the show, how they can be a segment within each other and kind of bounce back and forth. I was just throwing that idea out there, but I know that we had an idea for a show, and I never really saw how the podcast could correlate to that moment with the guest, but I think this could be a powerful tool to bridge those two together.
Yeah, I think you were actually with me when we had this conversation. We were sitting down with Rod Smith, right?
Yeah.
Future Hall of Famer from the Denver Broncos, and
He was recording everything.
yeah, and he was the one that just kind of put that out there and was like, man, he's like, I get in trouble for this all the time, but like, I need to record everything. So
God, I forgot that.
and we had such a deep conversation, and we touched on background, his background coming up, and how he got to the NFL, and we touched on my background of getting on TV, but everything that I went through coming up in California and making it. And he was recording the whole thing, and that was powerful for me because
right from his iPhone, guys.
Yeah, you got to capture every moment, because conversations happen, and you need to relive them and rethink some of the things that are said. You're gonna dive deeper on.
Yeah,
those become topics that need to be explored.
Yeah, there's a component about this that I love personally, is that there's at different stages that when you've told me something, I would appreciate it differently. Like I specifically remember when I first started my business, man, you gave me game on the whole business structure, outline, and things like that. And only till when I actually jumped and started my own entrepreneur journey did I see and really understand what you were telling me at that time. So I could appreciate that gem at a different space and time, if it would have been recorded. And honestly, I remember it, so I know exactly what I'm speaking about. But those gems aren't always applicable at that moment. But if they're saved in time, you could always go back to them. And like how I listen to motivational speeches, I hear different things every time, even on the same recording. You're just in a different space to receive that.
Yeah, I think that comes back down to what we were discussing earlier. Is it's about sharing the love, giving somebody else the education, helping people out, and I don't want anything from anybody. I think that's one of the things that I really try to make one of the basis of who I am as a man. But I don't want nothing from nobody. Like I don't have a second agenda. And when I share knowledge, it's because of my experience or something I went through. I don't want you to have to go through it.
Right.
So whether it's business or it's personal, and trying to get somebody out of a bad situation or mental health, like I'm just sharing what I've experienced on my 36 years on this planet.
Yep.
And I hope it relates.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to make it relatable for you.
Sure.
Take it what you want, but it's that's the reason behind it is I'm just trying to get somebody to their destination faster than I got to mine.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I think you're living that in every sense and form of the words itself. But I think that you believe that by giving someone else knowledge, it never puts you at a disadvantage.
Absolutely, man. I think the world should be built on paying it forward.
Yeah.
Right? That's mentorship. We all have mentors in our lives. And whether it's your faith or it's your career. somebody is guiding you. Somebody is giving you some knowledge so you can make smart decisions. I mean, we have our entire childhood is built around having a mentor, which is a teacher.
Yeah.
Right? A teacher is giving you knowledge. It's giving you education. And,
God, I've never thought about that.
18 years in school, you are built to learn. You're built to be on a schedule. You're built to have a mentor. You're built around learning stuff from other people.
Yeah. I just had a simple flash because I'm a new father and I'm learning so much about parenthood. And like there's this mother who I lean on a lot. She's got, 2 kids, one's 8 years old or whatever. And she really said to me, you are their teacher. They're learning everything from you.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't really know how much I'm either teaching them or influencing by my own actions or to even be aware. Like when you said it, I thought about me as a kid growing up, learning from my parents and everything. I was a student, even going to school, so you always had a teacher guiding you. And just to throw this out there, a lot of the childhood things we have to address because that's created us as an adult.
Yeah, and I think as adults we forget how observant children are.
Yeah,
right?
Very, very.
Because we try to censor the world, but the world doesn't censor itself.
No, not at all.
And it's raw and it's aggressive and it's real, and we try to kind of shape it and protect. But at the end of the day, when I reflect back to how I grew up, what I saw, and what I learned from that, or what I took from that, and how it shaped me or inspired me, or made me put up walls. Like I had a conversation with my mom recently, and she was shocked about how much of my childhood I actually remembered.
Wow.
And I'm like going through stories and scenarios.
And she has no idea
She's
that you
like,
remember these things.
Yeah, she was trying to shield me. So I think it's important for us to remember that, kids see everything and they're learning from us, which makes you want to be the example, right? Your goal is to be the role model. Yeah. So what kind of role model or what kind of example are you?
100%. And there's a statistic that I call her Mama Ness. I'm gonna just put this out there. Mama Ness had told me was basically like the most impressionable age for a kid is between 1 and 4. And then they remember things from 1 to 7 in their subconscious. And I would ask you, like, what's the earliest age that you specifically know you have a memory from? Like, do you remember like earlier or?
Yeah. I mean, I can think back to it had maybe my 3rd or 4th birthday. Yeah. I can remember sitting in a high chair, and the cake coming out and them singing in San Francisco. It's blurred. Yeah, obviously
you remember that moment, that space,
I know that feeling. I've got that mental image in my head. Yeah. I can even make out the colors of the cake.
Oh my God! But I see it as blue in my head.
Yeah. It was like a Superman color. Yeah. But it's just that's something that I can think back that far and being a child and before riding a bike, before all the crazy stuff happened. Like,
is there an age, and this is just because I know for me, I think it's 5, but is there an age that you just remember everything moving forward? Like,
yeah, I think for me it's about age 6.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, six is where I think most of my memories are triggered and begin. Yeah, and then I can run through that timeline
from
every year, every experience. I mean,
especially the big ones. I say that because as a parent, these are the conversations that I've been having, and it left me in awe because like the kids that I'm around, like my nieces, my son's only 1, but my niece is like 7, 8 years old, and I started thinking like, holy cow, like I'm really making an impression no matter if I think I am or if I'm not. And then the impression that I think I am isn't always how they perceive it. Because I believe that, we shouldn't censor it too much, but we definitely should put some type of a cap. And I have no cap right now.
Well, one of the things that I found very helpful is recently I went through this men's group with my church, and we got into this study about timelines. Yeah. And actually going back and writing out your timeline.
Did you write out your whole timeline?
My whole timeline. Right?
God, I'm so scared of that.
And well, the thing that I found most powerful is the scars of that timeline, the small things that happened that really affected me to today. So as I go through self-discovery, you know, I'm very aware of like my scars.
Yeah.
But I'm also even more cautious of putting scars on other people.
Oh my God. That's so powerful. That just helped me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think in 10, 20 years, somebody's going to be writing down their timeline or reliving something in a therapist session.
And
you might be the subject.
Might be in that subject. And once again, the moment that it hit my heart and my soul is because you literally just turn that from an internal to external, to where once again you're thinking about the other person.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very aware, and I think I've always just been an observant person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that was part of my survival of growing up in a very rough neighborhood.
Yeah,
is you had to be aware of your surroundings.
Yep,
you know, I knew where everything was happening. I knew who was who. I knew who was doing what.
Right.
I knew the plan Bs, the escape routes, what I was going to tell the cops when the cops showed up. Like I had, you know, 4 or 5 steps always in my pocket as a youth.
It's a go-to route.
So I think it's one of the reasons why I am the way I am now, because I anticipate.
Yeah.
I try to, you know, and I play out every scenario, but I try not to write the end of the story.
Oh my God! Hit him with that nugget again.
Oh,
explain what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, I think us as people, we constantly write the end of the story before it even has a chance to begin.
Yeah,
right. We know what's going to happen, so we don't even act on it, or we don't even say something.
Live it out,
because we think this is what's going to happen.
No matter what, you have that thought in your head.
Hey, you got to let that story play out. You don't know. You have
Yeah.
no idea.
So
trust it, run with it. Like this is part of your ride.
Right.
Enjoy that story. It's a chapter.
Yeah. God, that's so good. That's the gem I'm gonna take away. And just for y'all in the background, if y'all listening, watching this on YouTube, whatever, like that's the type of gem that y'all miss every day. Y'all miss every day.
Yeah, it's crazy to think of yourself as a character.
Yeah.
Right, because you're the character. You're not the author. You're the character of the story. So, you know, you have to let your story
feel entitled as if we're the author.
And that's what gets me in the most trouble, is when I start trying to write my story.
Yeah.
Right? I'm trying to control the narrative. I'm trying to control the outcome. I'm trying to write the end of the chapter.
Right.
But in reality, I need to just enjoy it and be a part of it and embrace it and observe it, so I can make smart decisions instead of trying to anticipate what the outcome's going to be.
Right.
Right? Because that's that distrust, that lack of faith, that's when I'm in my darkest place, it's because I'm trying to control the world. Wow.
That hits me deep, because I feel like right now I'm in some sort of that space, you know, a mix between, this is a question, you know, more for on that statement. So we have to act and show actions all the time on our goals and our ambitions, you know, but we have to have an idea of where that's going. So something that I'm going to pull from that comment is knowing like what I'm after and why, but not caring about how I get there, because it's how the vision that we see, how we would like to get there, is a lot of times what we get caught on. Is that fair to say? Or
absolutely. I mean, each one of my successes was never the way I planned it.
Right. God. So that's something I have to let go.
Yeah. I mean, you know, from cooking on Top Chef, I wanted to be on Top Chef for years.
Right.
I was a huge fan. I had friends that had done the show. I was excited to do it. I applied every year.
Right.
I thought this is the year. I'm doing the video this way.
Yeah.
I'm going to get their attention this way.
Yep.
And the year I wasn't even thinking about it, the year I wasn't planning on it, is the year it happened.
Oh my God, that resonates.
And that's with everything. That's with life. That's with work. That's with family. That's everything.
Yeah. But there is some element that I think that is a part of the accountability perspective, or from that entrepreneur mindset, is acting and making sure that action is consistent. Because if we live in how we're going to do it, we'll never actually get it done. And a lot of times, this is just an idea that I've been doing. Guys, I listen to motivational speeches every day. So a lot of shit I say, I pull from different things. But these are the things that I relate to, which is basically writing down 5 ideas every day to try and get to your goal. And 5 ideas every day in a week, that's like 35 ideas to get you to your goal.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I love this is because it's only going to take one. And the one that you really think it's going to blow on, it's not. That might get traction after this silly thing that you did actually got all the traction, and then people would, disperse through there. So it's about getting people in your funnel. Let's turn this to like a business entrepreneur, man. I know that we're going to grow this podcast and grow this into be something that we never even seen it possible. So my perspective is that we have to keep growing this and giving these people nuggets. But what is something in business that people can tangibly take to their business that is something that you learned or something that you believe is, or it can apply to any business? What
Absolutely.
would you give to the people?
I shared this recently on my social media, but you just brought it up. Goal writing. When I was 19 years old, my boss asked me what were my goals, my career goals.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have no idea, chef. I'm just showing up. I'm here to,
I'm ready to
cook
work hard,
and not let you down. Like put out good food. And he said, if you want to be a leader with me, I need you to go sit down in the cafeteria and go write out your goals. The next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about those goals.
When was this?
I was 19, so
19.
Maybe 2000.
Thinking back, how'd you crush your goals?
So here's the crazy part about the goal writing.
Yeah.
I went down to the cafeteria. I took the pen out and I started writing out my goals. I want to be a sous chef of this restaurant in the next 2 years. And then after that, I wanted to be a banquet chef. And it was going to take me about 3 years to get there. And then I wanted to be a garde manger chef, and I was going to run this kind of restaurant. And eventually I would become an executive sous chef of a very large hotel.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to be an executive chef of a small hotel. And I was going to have to be in that position for this many years.
Yep.
And I had all this written out. And it was, I think it was a span of about 15 years of accomplishing those goals. What's crazy is as I reflect on that and I've watched the years play out, something that I wrote that was going to take me 15 years only took me 7.
Yeah.
I had accomplished every one of those goals because I had a destination.
Yes.
And this is where I shared recently is, when you get in your car, you have a destination of where you're going.
Yep.
Right? So you look up the map and I got to make a left and I got to go 10 miles this way and I got to make a right. And you have directions. 100%. So you have to have a destination to be able to reach your goal. Gas is so expensive. You don't just drive around in your car.
Yeah, gas is expensive, guys. That's the punchline.
Yeah, I mean, it's I find it amazing that when you write your goals, you're able to accomplish things so much faster. But it's because you know you're going.
Man, I couldn't agree more. And an idea that I have real quick, I want to give it to you guys, is that your mind is like more powerful than a rocket. And I said this in a video one time, but basically it's saying that if you know your destination, that a rocket has to know where it is at that moment to lock into it. Your mind doesn't have to know where it is. It just has to know what it is. And that what is so powerful because you're not in control of how you're going to get there. But you got to put in the work. You got to put in the action.
Absolutely. The work is everything. I've always lived by this quote, and it's one of those things that stands out for me just because it applies to my last name. But luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And that quote is funny to me because, I come from an urban environment. I come from a hip hop background, and I think of one of my favorite rappers, Sugar Free from Pomona. And he used to always say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Yeah.
Like it's the same exact phrase of luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity, or stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yeah.
You have to do the work so you're ready when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, and don't get encouraged, guys, if you miss that moment, because there's going to be more. I feel like that's something that I'm going to feed off of that is like proper preparation prevents poor performance. It's like 5 Ps that I heard. And on my journey, I feel like sometimes I might have missed those opportunities, but I was doing X, Y, and Z. But those X, Y, and Z things that I was doing then led to other opportunities that I was prepared for. So that moment, if you do miss it, if you're not prepared, don't stop. Don't stop. Learn from what you're doing. Learn from the mistakes. I always say I'm going to fail to success because I'm not afraid of failure. Fall forward, that type of mentality. But keep going is kind of my thought on that. Even if you fuck up, even if you mess your whole moment up, keep going.
No,
Tell us about the time you failed.
Man, I fail every day.
Amen.
I fail every day. I fail more than I win.
Man, people don't know that.
Man,
they need to hear that.
But that's what experience is, right? Your failures is experience.
Yeah.
It's the lessons that you learned so you don't make that mistake again. I think one of the keys to being in business is try not to make the same mistakes twice, because that second time you make that mistake, it's even more expensive.
It's costing you more money.
Yeah. And money, time, your sanity, your heart, like everything.
Every component that you're working on, it strips that apart when you do something and you're back in that same spot if you didn't learn from it.
Yeah. So, you have to approach each door with the intention of, I want to win.
Yeah.
But know that you're probably going to fail, but get back up.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Don't quit.
Right.
I know it hurts.
Yeah.
But life is going to continue. Tomorrow's not promised for any of us.
Yeah, that's so true.
And you have to keep embracing the pain, keep embracing the struggle, because it's part of your journey, and you're getting this journey for a reason. So when that right opportunity happens and you fail at it, it's all right.
Yeah.
Because when it comes back around, you're probably not going to fail.
Right.
And that's always been my greatest lesson is not being upset about the failures.
Yeah.
Right? I embrace the fear. I embrace the failures.
Yeah.
Because I never lose. I only learn.
There's something about that characteristic that's transcended between a lot of successful businessmen, entrepreneurs, learning from their failures and things like that.
Yeah. And those are the ones that are the worst. I mean, for me it's people. I feel like when I fail a person, that's the one that hurts the most.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This person I was really trying to help out. I was trying to give the direction. They end up back in jail.
Yep,
or they fall off the wagon of whatever their vice is, or I break their trust and they don't feel like they can be around me anymore. Like whatever it is. Like for me, those are the ones that I think are the hardest.
Yeah.
Because that's what I care the most about, is helping people and giving direction and sharing experiences.
Yeah, I relate to that a lot. And once again, I'm going to encourage the person who did let somebody down. Like, don't get down on yourself too much, because like they really want you to come out of that show and then, achieve that obstacle of whatever you're facing, of why the hell you ended back up in jail,
Mm-hmm.
So there's an accountability on both sides, not only from the mentor, but as the mentee. And it is about, not giving up, that I think that I personally take from, something that I heard recently is that, simply he didn't stop. And I'm talking about Nipsey Hussle, but he said that the only difference between him and other people is that he didn't stop. He kept going. And I think that is living through pride. It is living through courage. It is living through perseverance, and it is living through determination. That's the no looks given motto that we want to drive home, guys. So what else you got, Chef?
I also think about initiative. I think initiative is a very, very strong word for me, because
talk about that.
You have to be the one that says, no, I'm going to change. I'm going to be the one that starts this conversation. I'm going to be the one that initiates the new direction.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you have a wall up and you're not engaged, and you're allowing your pride or whatever it is to prevent you from rebuilding something or facing a demon, the initiative is where it starts, man. You have to make a decision.
Yeah.
And you got to take ownership of that decision, and then commit to the successes and the failures of that decision.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be easy.
That is a journey in itself.
But I really think initiative is something. I have a good friend I've known for years, and we hadn't talked in months, some petty stuff. And it just was one of those moments where it was like, you know what? I need to send that message. I need to reach out and be like, how you doing?
Yeah.
It just, that's the first step.
Yeah. So
That's the only way
so
you're going to embrace
powerful.
it.
This morning, and before we started the podcast, we mentioned something along the lines of, getting past the bullshit talk, the how's your days and things like that. So I've actually made it my commitment to initiate those type of deeper conversations. Like, how you doing? What you got going on in your life? You all right? Those type of things versus, hey, how was your morning? Or, those, kind of everyday transactions as you're passing somebody.
Yeah, we've got to learn to be more comfortable with uncomfortable. I think that's a real feeling that many people don't want to have the hard conversation.
Yeah, we hate being uncomfortable. I'm speaking from my own personal self. Like, I hate being uncomfortable.
It's you don't want to share, or you don't want to be vulnerable, or you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, or but you have to say those things. You and be tactful about it, right? Don't just be an asshole, but be tactful about it. Like, there's a way to approach it, and sometimes there's not. Sometimes you just have to say it.
Sometimes just getting it out is the way.
But being uncomfortable, I think, is you've got to learn. You've got to learn to embrace that.
That's powerful, man. I get chills. So just to give some insight, guys, I wrote down some yearly goals for me. This, 2020 is coming up, and this is actually one of my goals, which is I'm writing a lot of things down, a lot, and it's kind of going back to that timeline and hitting some of those things that we're talking about, and taking initiative to do it internally first has been my mission. For 2020, it's a very internal year. Like, I'm going to be on social media, a lot of external things, but like underneath, guys, it's very internal for me personally. So I personally gravitate towards that because it is a challenge that you have to take upon yourself first. It's so big.
One of the things that stands out for me that I've really just started to really make one of my goals for 2020 is taking care of me. Making time for myself.
Yeah.
I make time for everyone, and I stretch myself so thin, whether it's showing up to these events or cooking at the restaurants or making the business successful. But I say yes to a lot of stuff that isn't healthy for me.
Yeah. So I think what I want to take from that is saying yes to you more often, right?
And knowing what you enjoy. Right? How many of us don't know what we enjoy? When you have a day off,
right? What the fuck do you do?
What do you do? Do you want to read a book? Do you want to write down some journal entries? Do you want to go play basketball or golf? Do you want to go ride a motorcycle? What is it?
I want to do all those things, just so y'all know.
Yeah, but we don't make that time, right? Yeah. We get up and then we just start running. And I think a lot of that comes down to time management.
Yeah.
We don't write ourselves schedules.
Yeah, I need to be better at that 2020.
Well, and here's the thing. We talked earlier about teachers, right?
Yeah.
We're trained to have a mentor, to have a teacher, but we're also trained to have a schedule, right? Think about that. Your entire education, all the way through college, was built on a schedule. 100%. You show up at the bus stop at this time.
Right.
You get to school at this time. The bell rings at 7:05.
Yeah.
And then you got 45 minutes in this class, and then you got to be at this class. Like, you're built on a schedule. But as soon as you come out of college, that schedule goes out the window. Besides your work schedule, where you're just here from 8 to 3, you haven't broken down the hours of the day, the minutes of the day. Where should you be right now?
Yeah. So in scheduling itself, obviously just doing it is half the battle. And maybe scheduling some time for you could be, beneficial. But what helps you with the scheduling thing? Or do you have a certain time every week that you do it for the following week? Or how you do that?
No, I've learned to live in a calendar.
Yeah.
And I structure my day around. Like today, I know after we finish up this, I've got a meeting at 11 o'clock. And I need to be available and present and ready and prepared for that meeting. So it's on my schedule. And after that, I've got to be at this restaurant, and I need to focus on these things while I'm there.
Yeah.
So I'm structuring my days always around my schedule.
Yeah.
You have to. And I know when I need to take care of myself. And I schedule that time for it, whether it's an hour, it's 20 minutes, it's 45 minutes, it's 6 hours, whatever it is. You have to schedule that into your week, because if you don't make time for yourself, you're going to lose yourself.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's a big topic, like losing yourself on the journey. Like a lot of people go through that shit, like and actually deal with that. And that's kind of when we start to pulling in those mental health components, these internal driving factors, man, these principles that we're talking about with no looks given, like all of it then spins into life. Like, man, when you said that, I can imagine people breaking down and everything they work for is crumbling because of that foundational period of improper preparation.
I had this conversation with a young chef the other day, and we were talking about identity.
Yeah.
And one of his frustrations was, I commit to work because it's all I know, it's all I want to do, it's what I feel like my identity is. But when I get that day off, I don't know what to do.
God, there's so many people out there like this.
How many of us are like that?
Yeah.
You have to discover yourself. You have to have an awareness and not identify yourself by your craft.
God, that's powerful. Say that again, because I needed that.
I don't think that people should have the identity defined by what they do.
Right.
Who are they?
So if you're a chef, you shouldn't be defined by the chef title. Filmer, you shouldn't be a filmer per se. You are an individual human being.
Absolutely. And you need to feed that soul.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out what that looks like. What is going to feed that soul? Is it really digging down deep and saying, I'm looking to do this in my life. I want to learn how to surf.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn how, my wife did this. It was powerful, but before she turned 30 years old, she wrote a list of 30 things to do before I turned 30. And it was things that she, and one of them was like, learn to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
And I was so inspired by her list. I couldn't wait to help her accomplish these things.
Yeah.
Just one of them was what's all this Star Wars hoopla about? And she wanted to watch, the whole saga.
Star Wars, yeah.
And, she's not a fan, but she watched them all. And, I think more people need to figure out what haven't they done yet?
Yeah.
And start planning on the things that you want to do.
Doing those things now.
Do them now.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause I don't think retirement exists.
No.
This is me personally. I think you're already retired every day, right? But you have to figure out what you want to do, what's going to make you happy, and get paid for it.
Yeah.
Right? But retirement is about just enjoying life. I think in this country, we don't think like that.
Yeah.
Why don't we have siestas?
Yeah.
Siestas, I think, are the most amazing thing when you go to Europe.
Mm-hmm. And explain what a siesta is for the people like me who think it's a fiesta.
Yeah, so at 3:00 in the afternoon, the city shuts down. Everyone stops and goes home and takes a nap, goes and enjoys some time with family.
No shit.
Yeah, it's just a pause. And
siesta.
Then
and this is siesta. Like in the whole country, you said?
Yeah. When we were in Rome, traveling through Italy, siesta is a real thing.
Like, and how often do they have a siesta?
Every day.
No shit.
Absolutely. Like the restaurants there shut down at like 3:00, and they don't open back up until like 6.
Wow. So and that is their time for whatever the hell they got going on.
We need more siestas in our life.
Man, call to action. Make sure y'all have a motherfucking siesta. Like that is, I'm caught off guard because I didn't really even know that they do that.
I mean, think about this. When's the last time you took a nap?
Me? Only with my son. When he naps, sometimes I nap.
But it's amazing. That's such good for you. That's great for you.
Yeah.
Why do you think they do that in preschool?
Yeah.
Elementary.
Yeah.
It's nap time, everybody.
Yep.
That's a siesta. We need a pause button in our day. You can't go for 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours,
18,
and not break.
Yeah.
This is why businesses force you to take 30-minute breaks.
Yeah.
But during those 30-minute breaks, all you're doing is waiting to clock back in.
Yeah. What are you doing for your 30-minute break? I want you to answer that.
I'm taking a nap.
Are you working on your dreams or something on the side? Do you have a goal? What are you thinking about? You just observing?
It's literally that moment. I need 30 minutes just to stop.
Yeah.
Right? To visualize where I'm at right now, to appreciate the moment, to take that to capture that feeling that I got right now of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think meditation fits into that a lot, but I think it's just stopping.
Yeah. just stopping and something that I think the meditation, it gets like some type of a cliche like role right now, but meditation could just be being silent.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's helped me.
You know, and for me, silence is horrible, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't like being alone with my thoughts.
No?
It's so hard. It really
Talk
is.
about that. I want to go deeper in that.
So my wife always, she always says, you know, you always have to have something going.
Yeah.
Like a TV going, a radio going. Like there's something going. I
something in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I think the voice inside your head is one of the hardest critics.
Yeah.
Who is going to put every bit of they're gonna play on every bit of your insecurity and your vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
And we're our own worst enemy.
100%.
So for me, I struggle with that voice.
Yeah.
When it's quiet.
God, as a friend, like it doesn't bother me, but it strikes my heart to say, like, I would challenge you to get through that voice, because on the other side, that's what I've found joy in.
Yeah.
Because that fucking voice, you're right. It's the negative. It's the person that is giving you every reason, that's believing in your fears, right? And it's criticizing yourself. But then on the other side is the grateful. It is the peaceful person.
Yeah.
And like, I've literally gained a lot of clarity on the other side with what the hell I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. And I think
that's finding some peace.
That's that internal trust.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know, I don't trust that person.
Yeah. How are you talk about that? Because people don't trust themselves either. That's very, very common. It's not abstract.
I think that's where a lot of my self-discovery started. Why don't I trust this person?
Yeah.
I need to understand why. Who is this person?
And this is you're talking about.
I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
Right?
This is the best music, is when people are talking about themselves, by the way. But keep going.
You have to get deep into your thoughts and understand, you know, why. Why don't I like the sound of this? Why don't I like this person? Why don't I like the voice? Why? It's all those insecurities that, you know, you have to face.
Yeah.
And a lot of that starts with the distrust of yourself. And that's hard, you know, but it's because it was broken at some point. You know, so I think a lot of my self-discovery is trying to understand where that break happened.
Yeah.
And where that mistrust came from, and trying to deal with it. And, you know, and finding different ways to deal with it. It's not just stopping and listening to it, but, you know,
it's not getting drowned by it, but keep going, researching it.
You know, and also trying, not numbing it. I think that's one of the hardest things is, you know, a lot of people really numb themselves, you know, for 100%. Years. I don't care if it's work, if it's alcohol, if it's drugs, whatever you're using to numb that voice, to numb that pain. Yeah. That person that is still there the next day. It's still there in the next morning. It's still there when you finally get through that headache. Like, you know, what are you trying to drown out? Yeah.
And where is this criticism coming from is another question that I like to try and pinpoint from that. It's like, is this idea of the vision of myself from something that someone else told me, or is something that I even value?
Yeah, those are those scars.
Yeah.
Those are those scars from your timeline.
Fuck, I got to go through this timeline.
Yo, I'm telling you, you know, my faith for me has been really unique because, you know, I grew up in a household where my father was into Buddhism. My mother wasn't really into church. I mean, there was a small period, but it wasn't a big thing. But my grandmother was heavy Catholic, hardcore. We had to go through, every time she came to town, we were going to church with her. But that was the extent of it. You know, when my father passed away when I was 10, all that went out the window. I no longer had to go to church, and I didn't care. Yeah. It wasn't even something that was a priority until I think I was maybe about 19, 20. And I heard it was a song. It was Jesus Walks. Yeah. And Kanye West had a verse in that where he said, I want to talk to God, but I'm afraid because it's been so long. And that, I don't know what it was. But that verse made me want to go to church. And Tina, my wife, was already back in church. She was, you know, getting, you know, baptized, and I had this feeling, this internal feeling, and it built. And over the years, as much as I, you know, cooking has been my identity, I've had some great pastors in my life that have given me good advice and good direction. And what I've learned is I have to have that blind faith.
Mm.
That blind faith is what's given me the best comfort.
Blind
right?
faith, yeah.
And I don't care what, what you find as your entity.
Yeah,
Everybody is individual. But for
100%.
me, that belief, that blind faith that, there's a bigger picture. There's a lifestyle to emulate.
Yeah.
I find comfort in that.
Yeah.
And being around people that have that same belief have actually given me even more courage to start addressing the past and reliving the past.
Right.
So as I've gone through this self-discovery, a lot of it's been through faith.
Yeah, yeah. I think that blind faith strikes me so deep because we always want to believe in what we see. Faith is believing in what you cannot see.
Absolutely. And
blind faith.
Blind faith is huge. And I'm no Bible expert. I couldn't
Sure,
sit here
it's
and
cool.
quote,
I'm cool. I'm with you.
Quote passages, but
I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to memorize some, but keep going. No, really. I really am.
No, but it's something that I've really started to build a lot of confidence and trust in because it hasn't let me down. Mm-hmm. But it's internal.
Yeah,
it's something I'm fighting with.
So let me hit this nugget real quick because faith, spiritual things, religion, it's all been on my journey that I've been going through personally. But something that I listened to last night, and it kind of gave me like some sort of an ease. And I'm going to say a couple things here, but the main thing I want to say is that whatever belief or deity you believe in, our Creator is perfect. And his job was to create. All right. And like Chef said, I'm not going to quote any Bible verses, but his job as the creator was to create, in which he did perfectly. So as the analogy that the gentleman was using was, if I was your coach in a basketball game and I was to teach you, let's say if we have this tournament and I'm going to teach you up until this date, when the game starts, right? You can't look at me for advice anymore. You have to play the game. So the analogy that I took away from this, spiritual moment, that I'll just call it a spiritual moment, was that the creator has created the game perfectly and we are the player within our game. The game can end at any moment, but we have to play the game, right? Yeah. And I think that is something that I'm living on right now, is thinking that everything is already perfect. And that when I used to pray, I'm a very spiritual person. I used to pray as almost a victim, but more of like a mercy prayer. But now I'm praying as empowered and equal, so I'm not saying, Lord, forgive me for this. I need to do this for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying, God, I'm giving it to you. I'm equal to you. My life is in your control. And it's more of it's not a pitiful or merciful prayer, but I know that the creator has put me in this game and I'm equipped with the skills to then learn and play the game. Yeah. And my job is to play the game. Does that help?
No, for real. And, I want to ask this question because this is something that I find so challenging living as a professional in a very media-driven world. Why are we so ashamed of our faith?
I don't know.
We can't talk about it in the workplace. We're so ashamed to share.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if most of the resolution is coming from there, why wouldn't we want to share that more? Why wouldn't we want to give that to other people? I think the one thing that has stood out for me the most as I've been on my journey, right, is I've found through faith how many other people are broken.
Yeah.
Not just me, right? The things that I thought I was crazy about.
Yep.
I've learned to open up and get in groups and conversations that they're just as broken as I am.
100%.
And it's given me more confidence in myself.
Yeah.
To realize I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
I thought I was.
Right. See, and that gives me chills because as I share my journey and do like all these videos and things, like people reach out to me and say like, yo, like that inspired me. Like you made me do this. And that, like, knowing that those type of things are occurring, like it makes you want to chase it because what you're doing actually is meaningful.
Yeah.
Man, this is deep stuff. Episode 1. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? This is how we're gonna kill it. So just I want to make sure we recap. Chef, you got anything you want to say before we recap and wrap this up?
No, it's great. You know, I could always just chat and talk it up, and I'm always blown away that people actually want to hear what my thoughts are.
Right.
Or so I encourage you, shoot in some topics, some discussions. What do you want to hear? What are the things that you're curious about? Is it cooking? Is it family? Is it faith?
Yeah.
What is it? We're here to chop it up. I mean, you've got experts on everything when it comes to entertainment, which is you. And man, my world's crazy. I could talk on many subjects. So
yeah, food, family, faith. I think that those are some very cornerstones to what we can talk about. But man, we're humans, and I think that that's something this morning that I pulled from what you said. You've been up since very early in the morning and getting in touch with that human element. I think that that's what people want to touch into is like, hey, Chef really is a person. He's not an image or a character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You asked me that earlier. I told you I've been up since 2:30 this morning, and you were like, why? What's going on?
What you grinding on? What's keeping you up?
I don't know what that is. There's something there though, like something I need to start understanding what kept me up, what got me up, what's been burning. I think that's what this should be about.
Yeah, it's continuously finding that. And fuck, I really enjoy this because it gives us an opportunity to document and build off of a lot of things that you are doing.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. No Luck's Given podcast, Chef Brother Luck, Dana Keith. I couldn't thank you enough for tuning in, listening in. Drop some questions. We can do some interviews. Hey, with this machine, I can make a phone call and people could come into it just as is.
Oh man, I'm sure we can get some great guests.
Yeah, we can. So that's a variable you should be aware of. We're looking for sponsors for the podcast, No Luck's Given podcast. So if you want to sponsor, we can drop your ad or promo in here. We're doing everything, guys. And this is where I'm just so happy to be able to be on a journey, document the journey, and watch this motherfucker grow.
Uncensored.
Uncensored. Oh, yeah, I'm uncensored, guys. If you guys don't know me, I'm Dana Keith, uncensored. I'll try to be my best to be politically correct at all times.
Yeah, it's funny, and I know we run out of time, but it's one of the reasons I don't do too much cussing anymore on a lot of my social media. It's because I have a lot of kid fans or people that look up to me, and back to that situation earlier, man. I'm so aware
of accountability of that
the role model.
image. Yeah.
So it's crazy, but
so I'm gonna be your alter ego. You know what I'm saying? I don't have the same platform that Chef has and that responsibility. My responsibility is to be myself and encourage people to be their self. So that's what we're doing. No Luck's Given podcast, guys. Pride, courage, perseverance, and determination. Apply those principles to your life this week, and I promise you'll have a great outcome. No Luck's Given. Chef Brother Luck, Dana Keith.
We out.
Out, baby. The man behind the hustle and grind. This is pride, courage, determination, and perseverance. Welcome to No Luck's Given.